This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Confirm or deny later in the hour. Darren Dreger will join us, our TSN Hockey Insider. 2 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, where the Boston Bruins are looking to survive, and Brad Marchand will not play tonight.
Yeah.
And I don't love their chances, but I said that yesterday about Carolina, right? So maybe they do.
I said it after the Leafs got pumped. I'm like, that team is going to get crushed by the Florida Panthers, and I think they will get the end of the crushing will happen tonight. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about that's kind of the distance you got to travel to get to that next level, because the team that pumped the Leafs is about to get pumped by someone else who's probably going to march through the East and all the way to the finals, if you're being perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the difference. A big separation, man.
Mm-hmm. I would say, like, Carolina, and watching that game, like the Rangers and Carolina, those are 2 really, really good teams. Like,
They put an underpants cam in the Rangers, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that'll make you think going back to Carolina.
That's the thing. You've got an opportunity to win at home and send it to 7. Like, that building is going to be insane.
Yeah.
And
after you just won 5 is huge. Like,
yeah.
If they get that one in Carolina, going back for 7 would be like, we just won here, guys. Like, just keep the train rolling. And that's a scary proposition for the Rangers, man, to kind of bounce back and get it together.
Yeah. And you know what? With Boston, I mean, Florida's a better team. Flat out. They're just a better team. You know, at some point, if Swayman steals one, it looks like they've kind of solved him. And missing Marchand, that's a big piece. Like, he's a big piece. He's their pulse, right? And it's just like Florida's got an answer for everything that Boston throws at them. That's really what it is.
And for everyone that thinks Brad Marchand has been so done wrong, like, my God, this guy's made a living of, like, just doing stuff to people. It's like you live by the sword, you die by the sword. He knows that's the game, and I don't know. I just find the outrage to be like, poor Brad. That's something Brad Marchand would do.
Oh, he would absolutely do it if he could.
Yes.
I mean,
he would spear you in the pills if he could.
Yeah. That's how he plays.
For
You
keeps.
watch him live. I mean, the guy's constantly reverse hitting and getting his elbow up and submarining guys, and that's the way he operates. Yeah, and that's why I actually think it's been more muted, because it is Marchand. You know, I don't think, yes, there's a lot of people in Boston bent out of shape, but I think the majority of people that are not affiliated with the series, they don't love Sam Bennett either, because Bennett's the same. Like, they're both the same guy, effectively, the way that they play. It's almost like, hey, that's the way it goes. Like, if the roles were reversed, no one would be surprised. Like, if Bennett went in for a hit and missed him, and Marchand
got suckered by
him,
Marchand, you'll be like, that's standard business.
Standard
rate of business,
no
man.
one would be surprised.
It is, but that's the level. Not everybody can play like that, but like Sam Bennett, the one thing, and talking to people in Calgary, that guy fears nobody. Doesn't care. He's like flat out, like, he can fight, he can do it. Remember this guy coming out of junior? I don't know.
Couldn't do a chin-up, Noodles, and I thought he was a guy that was like a little bit too small, and then he just morphed into a killer. Like, a straight-up killer.
And everyone had talked about him, like, this guy plays a lot like Doug Gilmour. Can score, but you know, he plays tough. He plays all of that. And he didn't live up to that in Calgary. But I'll tell you what, like, Calgary misses that guy. He's a guy that you would covet.
Give me his 25 goals or 20 goals and 50 points, and I'll take that guy every day of the week. Every day. And guess what? He's a UFA.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Sam Bennett's a UFA this year?
I believe he is.
I didn't know that.
I know Reinhardt is. I didn't know that Bennett was.
Well,
I'm probably wrong on that. I thought he was.
I don't know. I'm not disputing it. You said it so emphatically. I was wow, what a comment. That's going.
I know. That's why I don't want you to come over the top and say he's not a UF.
He's got one more year. He's got one more year.
One more year. It's okay.
One more year at
negotiate.
4.425. He's got one more year. But we talked about it.
That. We got to rewind it and delete
It was
that.
so close to a great YouTube clip.
It was a mic drop. That was a flat-out mic drop.
But unfortunately, the O-desk is wrong again.
Just a sign.
The old Harry Doyle.
Here's the other one, though, guys. Like, looking at this cap structure of Florida, Sam Bennett makes 4.425. The guy right below him on the depth chart, Carter Verhaeghe, is 28 years old, makes 4.1. There's
Scores
40
35
goals.
a year, 40 a year.
35 to 40.
And he scores in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, guys, that gets back to the point. It's bad enough, like, having the Leafs 11 million, but when it doesn't produce in the playoffs, it just makes it that much more insane. Like, I told you about the conversations I've had about Konechny. It's like, man, Konechny would be like, oh, Mitch Marner's 10 times the player that Konechny is. Is he really? Is he really 10 times the player that Travis Konechny is? I don't think so. Jonathan Marchand won the Conn Smythe last year. Best player in the playoffs, scored a bunch of goals. He's like a $5 million player. Why the hell do you need wingers making $11 million? And if you are, one of them's more than enough. Than enough.
I think that, I believe publicly we've all concluded that. Everyone's understood that. It's on the Leafs to understand it and rectify it. And it should have been rectified a long time ago, but it's neither here nor there. They did what they did. It went through the process it went through. But you're right that, I found even throughout the playoff failures, there was always this compensation for the core four. That it was like, well, you need depth scoring. Where's the third line? Where's the fourth line? There isn't one because those guys took all the money.
Well, think about $11 million. $11 million is a really good defenseman and a really good winger. It might be a good third-line centerman. It's two really good players, minimum.
What do we talk about all the time? How Vegas does business, right? Like they are cutthroat. Take a look at the UFAs right now that they are going to have to deal with and potentially walk away from right now from the Vegas Golden Knights. Marchand, Anthony Mantha, Chandler Stevenson, William Carrier, and Michael Amadio. All of those guys are on Cup-winning team. I don't think they're going to be able to sign all of those guys.
Not a chance. Not a
pretty
chance.
damn good players that are going to be available.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, and that's it. You got to score in the playoffs to really prove your value. Wyatt Johnston, we keep talking about him. He's got 7 already this year. He's got 11 in his career in 30 games. I just know this because I saw it. Marner's played, I believe, 57 playoff games in his career. He's got 11 goals in the playoffs. Wyatt Johnston's already tied him in 27 less games and about $10 million less, in terms of his contract or close to it. Here's Darren Dreger, at TSN Hockey Insider, joining us here on the Maple Side Hotline. What's happening, Dregs?
Hey, I'm just listening to Wyatt Johnston, man. How about those 2 goals last night, right?
Yeah.
The second, third effort on the first one, and then, pretty good setup, but drops to one knee, and he's just a goal scorer.
Yeah.
The future for this kid, it's not like he's come out of nowhere. He was a surprise last year in Dallas. There's no question about that. But the fact that he has been able to sustain it, I don't think that the hockey world maybe gives Jim Mill or pro scouting or amateur scouting enough credit in Dallas, because you look at Logan Stankoven, obviously Wyatt Johnston, and then Maverick Bork. They've got right there as well. They've got some real nice young pieces that are going to fit and have huge roles in Dallas for a long time.
Darren, we've been getting I got a little out of hand, and I said make a Team Canada jersey with 53 on it. Would that be getting carried away?
Not necessarily. How do you know for sure, right? It's out there.
Yeah. I think in 2026, if Wyatt Johnston, Johnston had 32 goals, 65 points this year.
Yeah.
He looks a lot, like we said last hour, looks like, Braden Point from 3 or 4 years ago.
Play yourself into the conversation. And that kid's a flat-out gamer, too. So, now internationally, you look at the Four Nations Cup 25, and then followed by the Olympic team. But these are the young bucks that have to be pushing some of these older guys out of the way. So I can see it. I don't think it's that big of a stretch the way he's playing now.
Well, and considering, Darren, if Dallas ends up going on to a final or winning or something, all it does is add to your resume and continue to push you through, especially if he's a guy who continues to produce. Then he's right in front of everybody's eyes. Where I was going to go is Edmonton. What do you make of looks like going to be a goaltender change with Calvin Pickard getting an opportunity, and in what we all believe, we talked in the last hour, would be a must-win game for the Oilers to try and even the series out.
For sure. And I guess I was a bit surprised when, it basically was made official yesterday, even though the team didn't want to confirm anything, that Pickard was going to get the start going into tonight. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Noodles, but doesn't Skinner have a decent job of bouncing back, even though most recently here he hasn't been able to do that? Talking to someone there that I trust on staff, the coaching philosophy is a pretty simple one. They're looking across the sheet, and they're seeing Artur Shelovs doing what he's doing for the Vancouver Canucks, and they're like, okay, well, then our guy is going to have to be as good. And that's a pretty tall ask. And it has to be way more than that, too. I think we're going to see a different approach from Chris Knoblauch tonight. And how this manifests or how he executes is going to be interesting to me. They're going to use their bench. It sounds like that's the idea going in, more than they have to this point in the series. And I think that's because the Canucks have done a decent job against McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman. So, hey, there's nothing wrong with, Corey Perry coming alive in this series. What about Warren Fogle? I mean, he's a good guy, big guy who had some flashes this year. Ryan McLeod is another one. They need their secondary players to chip in one or two to make things interesting.
Darren, do you think next year executives are going to move away from the idea of let's put together a team and we just need okay goaltending and we'll win? Because I think it's nonsense. Vegas did it, but a bunch of teams said we're going to try it too, and it's garbage.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that, it's standard fare for teams at varying points of the season, Toronto included this year clearly, to have to dip into the goalie pool and get your third or fourth stringer involved in a season. That's what happens. What the Vegas Golden Knights had to go through last year and at varying points this year again was borderline ridiculous. I'm looking at that Colorado series, and as good as Georgiev was, I think goaltending in Colorado was leveled off. But, I think we're going to see maybe the same old issues with the salary cap. So the salary cap we know is getting bumped this year coming, and then it'll get bumped another probably $4 million after that. But teams like Toronto, Vegas, all your cap spending teams are going to continue to spend. And so, from a player perspective, it's a great thing because these guys will finally start to get paid the way that they should get paid. But do we really think that money is going to the third line or the fourth line guys or depth defense? No. Top level guys are always going to have the hammer in that regard. So if you've got a goaltender that is proven, and there's a few of them, at least a couple of them that are potentially in play going into the offseason, when I look at Ullmark or I look at UC Saros, it might be worth the investment if you're a team that has had goaltending issues.
I want to bring it closer to home. Do you think then a guy like Tree takes a look at, his goaltending situation and says, I at least got to be calling on the goaltenders that, you just mentioned, even, Markstrom, guys like that were rumored to be in play because, if you are going to try and spread the money around, maybe you should be building from the net out instead of from the top down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I still think Toronto's got to improve its defense, and I know that remains an area of priority. Can they continue to do it with an affordable plan like Simone Benoit, who they got with a shortened term but an incredible value, right? So maybe they can add a couple more pieces being stingy that way. One thing we know about Brad for living here, fellas, and I'm not connecting the dots to Markstrom, but we know he's loyal, and we know that he likes surrounding himself with people that he knows and trusts. And Markstrom most definitely would be in that group. I think if there's an affordable upgrade, they've got to consider it. I do. And I'm pretty sure that, there's not pressure on Joe Woll. That's obvious. And I think I've said this publicly before, it feels like, they're going to give these guys some marching orders in the offseason in terms of how they train. Joe Woll is a great goalie when he's not hurt. The problem is he's hurt a lot. So he needs to get a little bit more luck in staying healthy, but maybe he has to train differently this offseason to get a little bit stronger as well. But I can see them having a look at goaltending. They made that abundantly clear, fellas, last Friday with Keith Pelley and Brad Treliving and Brendan Shanahan. How can you say no to anything that makes you better? I don't think they're in that position.
Darren, if you could pick one emotion to describe what the Avalanche staff and players are going through right now with the Nichushkin situation, what do you think it would be?
Well, for me, it's the balance between heartbreak and frustration, and throw disappointment in there as an added ingredient, right? Yeah. You feel for the man because now we're in stage 3, and it's not necessarily about the money anymore. It's okay. He's in stage 3, so this is a deep-rooted issue that he hasn't been able to master to this point. Stage 4. What is that? Suspension for 1 year and no guarantee of reinstatement. But, the anger and frustration, I would think, would come from, teammates. I look at in that first round against the Winnipeg Jets, I couldn't take my eye off Nichushkin in that series. Like, he is such a horse and such a presence out there. And they're just that much deeper and that much better with him healthy and in the lineup. I mean, they're in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Taking Nichushkin out of the Stanley Cup playoffs, I mean, that is just, I'm not sure how Colorado, bounces from that. So all of the above: heartbreak, frustration, anger, and certainly disappointment.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking breaking news before the game. And, it's 2 years in a row where Valeri Nichushkin has been in a situation where he's taken himself out of the game, the series.
Hayes, you saw it too. The players, they were like in a fog yesterday.
Yeah, they looked out to lunch, and you can't blame it all on that. We got to give Dallas a lot of credit, but to me, Colorado looked disjointed, and then it said it all. Like, to me, Jack Johnson's comments after the game kind of said it all. You mentioned heartbreak, but also frustration with the player going, he made his choice here, but it's really jammed them up. He's a hell of a player, and he's a unicorn because they can't nobody can handle him, and now he's out.
No, I mean, it's one of the few times, though, where, look, there's nothing that his teammates can do about it. There's nothing we can do about it and talk to you about it, but it's a recognition of this joint program between the NHL and the Players Association that matters in a significant way. So even though it's hard to compute that he'd go down this path at this point of the season, well, that was a choice that he made, but thankfully he's got the help and support of the Players Association and the National Hockey League to, climb the mountain if he can get the job done.
With Darren Dreger, a TSN Hockey Insider. So I guess Craig Berube is now in Winnipeg, right, chatting with the Jets, and there's a number of vacancies. Where are we at? You give us the update. I don't want to throw anything out there that's not true.
Well, no. So technically, he was not in Winnipeg. Okay. It was a virtual interview, so they did it by Zoom. I think he's at his home base in Philadelphia. But what a bizarre, and I talked to a couple of my media pals about this earlier today. I don't remember at least a trio, and I don't know, let's find out what Seattle and Los Angeles are going to do. I keep hearing that LA is probably going to hold on to Hiller, but they're not announcing, and they're not getting it done yet. So let's just focus on what we know today, and this is where it does get twisted and bizarre. So Sheldon Keefe, as he said in his video message, now it's his time to spend with his family and recharge the battery and all of that. Well, I know he's had at least a couple of conversations with Tom Fitzgerald of the New Jersey Devils, and Fitzgerald is looking for an answer. He would have nothing but respect if Sheldon just wants to sit this one out and, maybe recharge that battery. But if he wants to coach as early as next season, then Fitzgerald and the New Jersey Devils want to consider him as an option. I'm not saying that he's the front runner or he would get that job, but they want to know. And Fitzy would like to make that decision as to who will coach the Devils as early as this week, and Berube's in the mix there. Todd McClellan is in the mix there. And now you throw Winnipeg. I still think Scott O'Neill has the strong chance of succeeding Rick Bowness, but Chevy's not wasting anybody's time by interviewing other candidates, and today it did include Craig Berube. I mean, this guy's going to get a job. He just needs somebody to put that offer on the table so he can make a decision for once.
Yeah, I'm curious if it's is it about money? Is it about term? Is it about best chance to win? Like, what is and I guess how do these vacancies rank if you're Craig Berube and you're the man kind of making the call at this point?
Yeah, well, unless there's a candidate that we're just unaware of, right? And I'm going to bring it back to Toronto here because Chief spent basically all day Saturday with Treliving and management and part of Sunday morning before returning back. And by all accounts, it was a successful exchange. Whether or not they're at a point of getting into the nitty gritty of what a contract looks like, that won't be a problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'd be guessing at what I thought that number is for Craig Berube, and I think it's north of 4, maybe 4.5. We'll have to see how things play out. But he's not desperate to coach, but he definitely wants to coach and wants to be on a bench next year. He was interested in Buffalo, but it seemed like the fix was in with Kevin Adams and bringing Lindy Ruff back. He went down the road a long way with Steve Staios and the Ottawa Senators, and the fit for both sides just wasn't quite there. But Berube most definitely wants to coach again, and he will. One of these teams is going to make that offer and apply the leverage. So potentially he's got a choice to make. Is it Toronto? Is it New Jersey? Or is it potentially Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess we'll find out in the next few days to week and a half. And as for the game tonight, again, we talked about the goaltending situation, but the physicality, the kind of nastiness. I don't know if you saw Zadorov's quote today.
I did.
He's amazing. Like Zadorov just is. They need to let him speak every day. I know yesterday they didn't let him speak. Today he found the mics and. He was talking about basically suggesting Carson Soucy got suspended because of social media and McDavid and his profile. And yet I think Vancouver's got a legit beef with that Hyman cross-check. I mean, that's a cross-check right to the head that led to stitches. Like how Vancouver I think's got a legit beef. Like why would Soucy get suspended and not Hyman?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with
McDavid.
No, exactly. Exactly.
For sure. I actually thought the league handled it well. The cross-check to Connor's face doesn't happen. He gets cross-checked where? In the upper chest if Zadorov doesn't, give him the shove from the back. So, $5,000 out of his pocket is chump change. One game for that, I just don't know how you let that go. But then you're right, Brian, you compare it to some of the other incidents, like, remarkably, they couldn't find the television replay of the Bennett punch on Brad Marchand. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you not see that? It's a TV replay, So there's been some weird omissions and misses. This wasn't one of them, but I can understand why Vancouver would be upset just making those comparisons to what's been let go.
Yeah, and I think it'll continue tonight. I look forward to it continuing tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's been great. The animosity's been great. The two fan bases won't stop. The media is attacking each other. It's amazing. It's amazing. We're so civil in the East. They can't figure it out in the West. Yeah. Like, come on now. Let's try to be more civil here. All right, Dregs, we'll leave it there. Thank you for doing this.
All right, boys. Enjoy the night.
Darren Dreger, TSN Hockey Insider, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Check out Maple Toyota's huge truck and SUV lineup, including Tundra, 4Runner, Highlander, and Grand Highlander in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. Sure, that'll go over well in Winnipeg that Berube flew up to Toronto and zoomed to Winnipeg. But
let's be honest, Zoom means it's not happening. Like
generally, if you just, what, guys, I appreciate the invite. Fire me off of Zoom. Probably means he's
massive opportunity here to take charge of this club. Do you mind Zooming me?
Well, it comes back to our conversation, though.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah,
What if you're right? He flies up to Toronto, and then Tree tells him, bringing back Samsonov and Woll, and then Chevy goes on the Zoom and goes, "Yeah, Hellebuck's committed, and he's really pissed off, and
that's right.
Wants to follow it up."
You're right. It could have been, "Hey, I'm not even doing an interview," and then he left
pitch
and goes, "Uh-oh, can we get something set up here? I can't get to Winnipeg in time. How about a Zoom?"
Yeah.
You're right. That could be the case because, we established that last hour. Hellebuck, of all the vacancies, he's the man. Like, whoever gets in, if Hellebuck is healthy next year, Winnipeg's going to win games. That's just how good he is. We'll see.
And all of this, too, do you think any coach is in trouble in the second round? I don't think there's anybody in trouble in the second round, but Brind'Amour, is his deal done? I know people in Carolina are quite sensitive to that situation.
Why are they sensitive to it, Jamie? Their owner hasn't paid the guy. He's the best coach in hockey, and if they get bounced, there'll be people lined up to call the guy and talk to him and offer him massive money. So they're stupid to let it get to that point.
Okay, so I guess my question or point is, if there's an inkling that he's available, do you wait one more week on Berube, McClellan, Gallant?
I'm sure that would be everyone's marching orders. Let's see what's up with Rod Brind'Amour, because you'd be dumb not to look at it.
Well, in collusion, everyone knows it. You've called his agent and you've asked bluntly, is he open to the conversation?
Right.
If the answer is no, he's not.
Then you move on.
Then it's over. You're not waiting for anything. Right. But if his agent says, "Hey, you might want to wait a few days," okay, now they might be using you to get the deal in Carolina, but it might be worth it. That's what you do. You sniff around the agent and find out what's going on.
I'd also be reaching out to Gary Bettman and saying, "Is there any, clarity on Joel Quenneville's situation in the near future?"
Yeah,
because again, if all things being equal, if you hire somebody and then Gary goes, June 1st, he's free, and you're like, okay, or free's the wrong word, but he's available to be hired.
To coach again.
Yes.
They're doing that.
You got to look at.
Like, wouldn't it be? It would be shocking if Tree Living and Shanahan aren't calling everyone and aware of everyone's situation.
Right.
Like, I mean everyone. Like, I don't care who it is. If you're a coach in the league and you have 5 years left on your deal, I might call. Just say, what can it take to get you out of there? And that would include, Quenneville. It would include Brind'Amour, Cooper, Berube. Everything's on the table. The Leafs have the deepest pockets. They'll pay whatever they have to pay.
I agree.
All right, confirm and deny coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Boston trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for confirm or deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm and deny, brought to you by Summit Ford and South Lake Ford Lincoln, where there are no denies, only confirms when it comes to trades. Any make, any model, we will take it. Visit summitford.com or southlakeford.com. All right, confirm and deny statements are made. We go around the table, we confirm them, or we deny them. Very simple stuff. You guys ready?
Go ahead,
confirm
fire
and
it up.
deny. Easton Cowan will play the full season for the Maple Leafs next year.
I'm going to confirm that 100%. Sometimes you got a guy that just ready to take the next step, and it looks like he's the Wyatt Johnson kid. I don't think people projected him to be in the NHL last year. It was kind of like, wow, that's amazing. He's making the team. But I think this is one of those things where he's not going back to junior. What the hell is he going to do? Score points in 66 straight games to improve? And he can't play in the American Hockey League, so he'll play in the NHL. Pretty simple stuff. 100% confirm it.
I'm denying it.
Oh, wow.
A little denial. Okay.
5'11", 170 pounds, 180 pounds. Sorry. Remember the kid that played for Boston this year? And then he went to World Juniors and then he got hurt. Like I
Patra.
just, yeah, you got to be careful with these kids physically. Doesn't mean that they can't play. It just, you've got to be mindful that sometimes at 18 years old, their bodies aren't ready to be hit by men. And I know that sounds weird, but I think he's good enough and there's a chance, but what if you play him half a season and send him back after the World Juniors or to the World Juniors and stuff? Like, I don't think there's the question was the full season, right? Full 82.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
why I'm denying it. I think he plays games, but I think there's a pathway there to make sure you're drafting and developing, not just drafting and forcing him into the lineup. Now, he may force himself into there and say you can't take him out, but you also have to give him some runway to allow to grow and grow into the pro game. That's why I'm denying it.
Yeah, I think if this was at Jerry's, it would be closer to 50%, but it's not.
That's where I'm at.
So I will deny it as well because, it is too bad. It's either OHL or NHL. And yet, I could see a scenario where he does start the year, has a great camp, and then, sometimes you're running on adrenaline for 7 or 8 games, and then you're taken out of the lineup like Fraser Minton was last year. It was the same thing. Minton started the year, then they took him out, and they said, what are we doing? We've got to send him back.
Well, didn't they do that to Mitch Marner, too? Didn't Marner go back as a 19-year-old?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm getting my years kind of mixed up, but I believe he did. Although, no, he went after his draft year. Then the next year, Matthews was drafted, and he was there. So I think he played when he was 19. But anyway, Cowan is in a similar situation in terms of winning MVP. Looks like London's going to the Memorial Cup. Guy's the best player on the best team in the O. But I could see a scenario where he goes back to the World Juniors next year. This year he was on the team but didn't play like a prominent role. Next year he could be the man. And I think that'd be beneficial because it's not only about how you're going to help the team this year. You got to hope that he's a building block for the next 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
And when Shanahan first got here, they really implemented that, like, patience. Send guys down to the minors, let them play with the Marlies. There were a few exceptions, Matthews and Marner, but like Willie played for the Marlies for a full year, before he even came up.
Al's brother, thank you for the update. Easton Cowan now weighs 185 pounds.
Oh, well, that's okay. Now he's ready. 185.
I didn't realize that Al's brother was a scout at the Combine.
Yeah. He just reported his hockey DB says he's 185. Put on 15 since the draft.
Needs a good summer. Maybe he comes in at 190.
Noodles, what you said is totally fair. It's a totally fair comment.
I wish this was a Jerry's instead of deny because I don't want to be negative about the kid because I think he'll play games.
It'd be cool.
But 82 is a long grind, and that Poitras kid is a nice player too. And he ended up getting nicked up, and I think he had to have shoulder surgery or something. That was. You see, young guys, they got to be able to handle the physical rigors.
That's the thing. Wyatt Johnston's 6'2". Like he's a bigger kid, right? Using him as the most recent example.
Right.
All right. Confirm or deny. Stuart Skinner will start Game 1 of next season for the Oilers. Ooh. Game 1 of next season. Stuart Skinner is the number 1 goalie for the Oilers.
Start Game 1. You said.
Season.
Yeah, Game 1 of 82 next year in the regular season. Coming out of camp, hey, here we go, opener. Stuart,
I'm going to say deny. I'm sorry. I'm going to say deny. I think they find a way to – I mean, how could you do that to McDavid to say we're going to give this guy another chance in the playoffs when it's cup or bust? I don't know how you do that. I'm going to say deny. And I really like the kid. He's accountable. He takes ownership of his play. Great stash. Great guy. But it's not happening. So how can you look McDavid in the eye and say we're really going for it next year if you don't do it this year in the same things and like the same goalies in net? Doesn't add up. Doesn't make sense, and you can't do it.
I got a pathway for you here, too, with that same for that answer too. Skinner only makes like $2.6 million. So if they buy out Campbell in the offseason and they go get a $5 million goaltender, that guy may start Game 1. Skinner's still on the team, but it's a tandem situation. Linus Ullmark available at, guys like that. Like that, to me, that's where I think the pathway is. If this doesn't work out here, I still think if Edmonton, I just don't think it's Pickard's net and if they have success, he just never comes out. I still think they're going to need Skinner. But we'll see. Proof's in the pudding. They're on a 1-game schedule right now.
Yeah.
And Pickard's the guy. So I will deny it too for the reason that I said that there's going to be another goaltender there because I think Campbell will get bought out.
Yeah, Campbell, he's not going to be a part of the program opening night next year, whether he's bought out or, a part of the team and they waive him again. But I don't know. He's still a young goalie.
Yeah, he's 25.
Yet, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I don't think they want to just turn their back on him completely. Yet they're making a justified decision tonight that Skinner can't play. He's not hurt. He's ready to go. They're determining, in the best interest of the Oilers, this guy can't play.
Not playing tonight.
Or more
going in.
More of the idea is, and it's the same thing, it's just as concerning. Every coach will say, we're going to put in the guy that's going to give us the best chance to win. And tonight their belief is Calvin Pickard is that guy over Stuart Skinner, which
it's not a
is
good sign
outrageous.
For Skinner in his future. Yeah,
what?
Exactly. It's not a good sign for Skinner in his
future. No.
It'd be one thing if this was, Marc-Andre Fleury or something, and you're like, all right, they're going with Flower. Yeah. I can understand. Pickard is not a guy with Stanley Cup pedigree, yet he's the last man standing because Campbell's not a guy they want to trust, so they're going to put him in. Again, if it was a Jerry's, it would be close, but I'll deny it too. Just tonight, and I might be caught up in the moment. It may be a recency bias thing. Just it feels substantial tonight. It feels like they're basically saying this. Last year it was a mess at times. This year it's a mess. Yet during the regular season, Skinner for the most part has been able to perform, and this is game 1 of 82 in the regular season we're talking about. But it feels like symbolically, if you've moved on him. And whether they win or lose, I'm not sure where Skinner factors in here. I don't see how you can return with him next year as your number 1 guy. Maybe the tandem, but I don't think he can be a number 1 guy. All right, it was announced today, NFL scheduling leaks. The Monday Nighter will be Jets-Niners. Back-to-back years of Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football in Week 1. Confirm or deny, Aaron Rodgers opening against the Niners will be a disaster for him and the Jets.
Oh, dude, why do you got to bring that stuff up? Why can't it be a positive story? It's just, it was the ultimate disaster for Jets fans last year. 4 snaps and he blew out his Achilles. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the positive. He can turn the ship around for the whole organization, stay healthy, and be good. At 39 or 40 years old, whatever he is. All positive on this, totally confirming it. I don't know why you have to bring that up, Figgy.
All right, so you're
negative.
You're denying it. It will not
negative.
be a disaster.
Denying
it's gonna be a great story.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
I think it sets up horribly for him.
Why? Why do you got to talk like that?
He hates
the
him.
Niners.
You hate him because
you hate him because he left.
I don't hate on him. No,
yeah,
I don't,
do.
Because I love Jordan Love.
No, you do. You hate him.
It's a love story. No, it's a love story. I love Jordan Love now. I'm ecstatic. Who on earth would take Aaron Rodgers right now for the next decade over Jordan Love? You can't.
Well,
clearly.
No, but
I'm confirming this because the Niners are such a good team. It's a tough place to play. Not one he's had a good history in when he was a Packer. And, they're turning things over with the Jets. They're trying to work on the O-line. He's coming off the Achilles injury. Nick Bosa is a rabid dog that's going to be chasing him around all night. I just think I'm not sure I could pick a worse place to start with this Achilles Jets comeback for Rodgers and the Jets. I feel like it's going to get ugly. I do. I feel like it's going to get ugly. That doesn't mean it's a precursor of what's going to happen the whole season. Maybe they figured out he's a cool story that he's coming back. But Niners to start in San Francisco, I don't like it. For Rodgers,
but you're negative, so you're going to say
you're confirming
saying,
it'll be a disaster.
I'm going to deny it. I think Rodgers likes the big stage.
Okay.
I think he'll be fine. It just with him though, it's distraction after distraction. Who knows if this guy takes snaps by the time it gets there?
Right, he's doing podcasts and interviews, and he's an outspoken guy. But he'll show up at camp and claim, hey, it's a circus atmosphere around here. Meanwhile, it's like, Aaron, you're contributing to that greatly, the way you operate. All right, confirm or deny. Scotty Scheffler missing the cut this week would be a bigger surprise than Tiger Woods making the cut this week.
100% confirm. Tiger Woods ain't making the cut at this golf tournament. You think we're going to do this again? Are we going to do the presser tomorrow, Hayes?
He did it today.
He did it today.
This is how crazy, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was watching it, and I did not even know he was coming up. There was a rain delay. They got wiped off the course today. And I'm watching Tiger, and I had this out-of-body experience. I'm like, is this a tape? Like, I didn't hear a word about when he was speaking. It is so muted around Tiger Woods right now because of what you just said. No one thinks he has a chance. At Augusta, it was nostalgic. It's the nature of Augusta National, his first time back. Everyone kind of tried to convince themselves maybe he's got a shot. Not happening this week. And he spoke to the media, and it was like no one even cared. Like, today actually felt symbolic from that standpoint. Maybe I'm wrong, but, like, I just didn't get the impression that anyone was paying attention to Tiger Woods at Valhalla today. But the question is, Scottie Scheffler missing the cut would be a bigger surprise than Tiger making it. That's fine. You don't think Tiger's going to make it, but you're saying that it's more likely than Scottie missing the cut?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the way he's playing.
I got to be honest with you. I'm confused by the question, but there's no way in hell. I am. It's making my brain seize up.
I see.
The Scheffler missing the cut would be a bigger shock.
Yes,
That's all
it would be.
Okay,
that's where I'm at too. I'm confirming that too.
Yes.
Scheffler is nails. I mean, he's
so
the
dominant
guy
right now.
He's the guy. So I would be shocked. Tiger making it, there would be some shock, but the guy at one point he has been able to turn back the clock. But I would bet on the ass grab or the limp, and then it's done. So.
Okay.
But I think Scottie Scheffler. Yes.
I thought it was a great question. I mean, when I was formulating it earlier, I'm like, this is a brain buster.
I thought it was good.
But anyway, no, it's fine.
No, it was great, Hayes. I was just confused. I was like, what do I think's going to happen here? What is my percentage? What is my confirm? It just tied me up. It tied me up.
I got you. I think in the end, I understand where you're coming from. I'm going to confirm it as well, though I will say Scheffler just had his first kid. You know, I don't know how many golf clubs he's been swinging the last couple of weeks. Now that he's in Louisville, the guy's probably sleeping nonstop. So I don't like everyone's like, oh, he won't be sleeping. He's sleeping because his wife and child are in
too.
Texas. McIlroy, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, McIlroy. So the news came out today that listen to his last 48 hours. Not only did he win at Quail Hollow, the way he played on Sunday was one of the great rounds of the last decade on tour.
Of course.
Like, that course was eating people up, and he went out there and destroyed it. He flies back to Florida, files for divorce, and then flies to the PGA Championship. Like, this guy, I can't get a read on him, but I wouldn't be shocked if he won this tournament by 10.
Me neither, man.
I wouldn't
be
shocked.
Mind is free. You know who's going to be all over this guy, Hayes? Club pro guy.
Yes, he's already on it.
Oh, is he involved in this guy's?
There's a couple of things already starting.
But let me guess what he said. No shocker that he won at Quail Hollow. He won the week before, by the way, with Shane Lowry.
That's right, in New Orleans. That's when your boy had the chili dip off 18, and then what was his name again? That was 2 weeks ago because Benny Coles did it the week before against Pendrith. Mm-hmm. Anyway. All right. I don't know what we just established there, but there's a lot going on in the PGA Tour.
We all agreed that Scheffler would be a bigger surprise.
Yes, missing the cut would be a bigger surprise.
Yeah.
I think most people are looking at Scheffler, McIlroy now, Brooks Koepka coming off a win. And this course is a great course. It's a tough course. And you have Tiger there. I don't know what it means, but you have Tiger there. Phil Mickelson, right? Mickelson obviously won the PGA Championship a few years ago at Kiowa. So it should be a great week. More on that tomorrow for sure with picks. We got some more Confirm or Denies we'll come back with. Confirm or Deny brought to you by Summit Ford and South Lake Ford Lincoln, where there are no denies, only confirms when it comes to trades. Any make, any model, we will take it. Visit summitford.com or southlakeford.com. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you.
All right, Mike Johnson from the World Championships, where it was a wild game today. Canada beating Australia in overtime. That's the glass half full, right? The glass half empty is I was going to say the Leafs. Canada was up 6-1 in the third.
Wow.
And Austria scored 5 straight.
There's some weird goings on over there, man.
Yeah, there
I like
is.
Brady Tkachuk saying, I like this tournament, but you can't fight. And these guys are acting like a bunch of weasels out there.
I know. Slavkovsky is like policing things out there. I'm sure you saw that clip.
Yeah, with Pinto.
Yeah, with Pinto.
Pinto goes, go change tops.
Yeah, get out of here, dude. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
there is a lot going on over there, and not a lot going on in Baltimore tonight. The Jays-Orioles game has been postponed. It's been rained out. So they will make that up with a doubleheader later in the season. So no Jays baseball tonight. So you lock in a couple of Stanley Cup playoff games, a couple of NBA playoff games, and again, down at the PGA Championship, they were rained out today too. It's just a practice round. It doesn't ultimately matter much, but we'll have picks tomorrow. And McIlroy, again, getting divorced. That's his personal life. But
yeah, it's crazy stuff. You just didn't. I don't know. There's nobody that can be labeled for that type of stuff, but I didn't think that was. I didn't have that one on my bingo card. Is the only way I could put that one.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. And again, when you consider the way he played on Sunday, and like he just ran away with an elevated event at Quail Hollow, like that track was eating people alive, and he played so well. And he's won here at Valhalla. He won a PGA Championship here 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So. I think it'd be a cool story to see Rory pull one out here. Scheffler, I'm kind of the point where I'd like to see someone off the beaten path get it. I don't know if I need Scheffler to do it again. McIlroy hasn't won a major in so long, so there would be a cool element to that. But maybe it's time for someone out of nowhere to win this.
Right.
It's at least just have a great leaderboard. And Tiger, we say what we say about Tiger. I hope he makes the cut. Play into the weekend makes it interesting.
Well, you never told me. What did he say today? Did he say, I think I got a shot this week?
Yeah, he said the standard stuff.
Yeah,
he said, listen, if I'm here, he did allude to the fact that he's not playing a lot. He's not sharp. His body feels okay. His game, he wishes his game was sharper. But, he has the same gratuitous comment that, if I'm here, if I'm in a tournament, I think I can win it. What else are you going to say? Like, just play it on a loop. It's what's going to be said moving forward. Final hour coming up. Mike Johnson will join us. And the new head coach of the men's national soccer team, Jesse Marsh, for a little convo at 6:30. We look forward to that. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.